This program is funded by the Annenberg CPB Math and Science Project. It has been produced in collaboration with the National Science Foundation, Harvard University, and the Smithsonian Institution.
But the part that bothers me the most is that by every indicator that I see, we are not effective in the overall education and learning of our youth. And we are paying a tremendous amount of money for it. And no one talks about it.
Is about making predictions about the world. It's not about explaining. Just because you can explain something doesn't mean that you understand the science. You have to be able to predict what will happen. That's the power of science.
I think we're teaching knowledge in bits, chunks, fragments. Meaningful understanding means not learning something in a shallow way, like a friend's telephone number. You keep it in your mind long enough to dial it, and then it's gone.
How do we know a kid really understands something in science? Well, we try to teach them something, and then we construct our tests so that they do well. So if you have a very difficult idea that may take 2 or 3 years to learn, and you cover it in 2 weeks, you want the kids to do well on the test, so you have to test things that are trivial.
All young children know how to learn to construct meaning. That's the way they acquire the language, without any special coaching. But when they get in school, they start learning to memorize, learning to pass tests, rather than learning for understanding. Then the problem begins, and it continues right through university.
Cambridge, Massachusetts. Graduation day at Harvard and MIT.
Here's a seed.
Okay.
Okay? Now hold on to that for a second.
Okay.
Imagine that I planted that in the ground.
Okay.
And a tree grew. All right? And here is a piece of that tree.
Sure.
Okay. Now, where did all that stuff come from?
So where do plants come from? You look at these beautiful big redwood trees, these great spreading valley oaks, and you know they start from this little tiny seed. It's miraculous. Where does all that weight come from?
The mass came from a lot of things, I'd guess. I'd guess from water that it sucked up from the ground. I would guess from minerals that it sucked up from the ground.
Water, light, soil.
Well, I suppose in terms of raw mass, most of it's probably derived from actually matter in the soil itself.
And some of it comes from water, obviously, but a large amount of it comes from the nutrients that the roots absorb from the soil.
Now, what would you say to someone who said to you that most of the weight of the tree came from the carbon dioxide in the air?
I would say I would have no idea. I'd have to think about that.
I would disagree because this same volume of air wouldn't weigh this much unless it was highly compressed.
I would say that's very disturbing and wonder how that could happen.
It's a very strange idea that somehow the air, which they view as nothing, as weightless, as insubstantial, somehow makes a tree, a giant tree that weighs several tons. I mean, that's absolutely incredible.
That'd be hard to believe because carbon dioxide is, well, it's a gas, and it doesn't seem intuitive that you could add mass taking in a gas.
But that's where it comes from. Takes those carbon molecules and packs them together via chemical reactions so tight that you get this huge mass. So what does it mean that these Harvard graduates don't understand the fundamental idea of photosynthesis? Well, it's symbolic of the state of the nation. These are the best that we produce. They don't understand it. After all these years of school, who does?